When you think of Nickelodeon during the late 80s and 90s, most people think of the cartoons and live action shows like Hey Arnold and all that, but something Nick was also known for was their game shows designed for kids. No shocker here, but I was a huge fan of almost all the game shows on Nick growing up. Nickelodeon even had a 2-hour block that focused on game and sports shows for kids called Nick Gas on Sunday afternoons, which in the mid-2000s actually became its own channel. And story time. When I was younger, I was at my friend's house who lived right down the road from me, and Nick Gas was about to come on, so I wanted to leave to go watch it because he didn't want to watch it. So we went outside, and you know what he did? He grabbed my bike and took off on it. I wasn't having it, so I chased him around for like 20 minutes. And ended up with me hitting him in his back with my helmet, and it broke in half. The helmet, not his back. The helmet I had at the time was just one of those like cheap, hard styrofoam ones, so they did break pretty easily. However, my parents were like, yo, we're really proud of you that you stood up for yourself, but you broke your helmet. Now you can't ride your bike until you get a new one. But I didn't miss Nick Gas that week. Was not being able to ride my bike for a few weeks worth it? Probably not, but I still felt pretty badass. The moral of this story is anyways, in today's video, we are going to go over my top 5 favorite Nickelodeon game shows. Typically with my top 5s, I order them from my least favorite to my favorite. However, with this list, I can't really do that. I enjoy all these equally, and I'd be happy to sit down and watch a marathon of each show. So down in the comments, let me know what your favorite Nick game shows are. Okay, enough rambling, let's get on with the list. Coming in at number 5, we have Nick Arcade, which was hosted by the awesome Phil Moore. This show consisted of video game trivia and some VR segments as well. The contestants would have to face off with somebody from the other team to get in control of Mikey, the video adventurer. You could move Mikey in any direction except diagonally, and you would run into one of the 4 P's: points, puzzles, pop quizzes, and prizes. If you run into an enemy, you would lose control of Mikey, and the other player would get to control him. The team with the most points would get a chance to battle one of the video game wizards in the video zone. This show was a lot of fun to watch back in the day. Now, when this show came out, this was back when arcades were in its heyday. Like, there was arcades all over the place in every single mall, and that's what kids wanted. So it was nice to have a show that kind of mixed like Jeopardy and arcades together. That's basically what Nick Arcade was. Now, watching it, you might think, wow, that's actually really easy to win. However, it's all done with blue screens, and it's actually a lot harder to play it than you would think. Now, this is one of those shows I would love to see to come back with a modern twist, have some modern technology. I think you could really do a lot with this show if you were to remake it. However, I would only like to see it come back if Phil Moore was the host. Also, fun little fact, Joey Fatone from NSYNC was actually on Nick Arcade. I don't think his team won, but it's still pretty cool. Coming in at number 4, we have Guts. Do you have it? This was an action sports competition show hosted by Michael Malley and his referee, Mo. Contestants would have to face off in 4 extreme versions of athletic events, and then they would have to race up the almighty Aggro Crag. I've always wanted to be on the show, mainly just to go up to Aggro Crag because it looked like a blast. There was also a few different series of Guts too, like Guts All-Stars and Global Guts. There was also a Super Nintendo game that came out, and unfortunately, it's not very good, but overall, I love this show. I'm a huge fan of action sports, and this was able to show off people's athletic ability, but in a very fun and unique way. During that era of Nickelodeon where everything was just kind of crazy and extreme, that's kind of what the 90s are known for. This show was seriously just a lot of fun to watch, and to be honest, I still kind of want a piece of that radical glowing rock, the Aggro Crag.
On your mark. Get set. Go! Get that stuff going! What do we have here?
Double Dare is Nick's first game show and arguably one of the best ones they had. It starts off with 2 teams doing a physical challenge to get control of the round. The teams would then have to answer trivia questions, and if they didn't know the answer, they could dare it to the other team, which would double the points or money. If the other team didn't know the answer, they could double dare it back to the original team. They could either try to answer the question or take a physical challenge. If they do not win the physical challenge, the other team would get the points or the money, and it's the same thing with the dares. At the end, the team with the most points or money would go through the obstacle course. They had 60 seconds to go through and capture 8 flags. And for each flag that they captured, they would win a prize. The grand prize could be anything from a car to a trip to space camp. This show was seriously super fun and really captured the insanity that Nickelodeon was. There was also many iterations of the show as well, such as Super Sloppy Double Dare, Family Double Dare, and Double Dare 2000. I know some of you are going to ask how I like the more recent one, hosted by Liza Koshy, and honestly, I thought it was great. It captured the heart of what the original Double Dare was, and I thought she was a great host. There's also a NES game based off of the original Double Dare, and it's one of my favorite NES games. It's just a really fun Jeopardy trivia style game. I know some people have issues with the obstacle course at the end of the NES game, but overall, I thought it was good. But like I said, this show was a lot of fun to watch, and seriously, if they brought it back for adults, I would totally try out for it. At number 2, we have Figure It Out. Again, like I've said for all these shows, it's so much fun to watch, and it's so good. The premise is you'd have a contestant who either had a special talent or invented something cool, and the panelists, which were mostly Nick stars, however, they did have some other celebrities, like some wrestling celebrities as well, that would have to ask yes or no questions to try to, well, figure it out. They would get hints throughout each round from the charade brigade, or they would be given certain objects that would try to help them make a guess for what the talent or the invention was. For each round, the contestant stumped the panelists, they would win a prize. This show was, again, so much fun to watch, and you can even play at home by covering your ears and closing your eyes. This way you didn't know what that talent or invention was. Also, you can't forget the secret slime action. This is where if a panelist did an action or said a certain phrase or just had something about them which only the audience member knew, they would get slimed and an audience member would win a prize as well. Figure It Out was hosted by Summer Sanders, and then it was revived in 2012 and it was hosted by Jeff Stuffin? Pickboy. It was hosted by Pickboy, and they even replaced Billy the Answerhead with some series of pipes, like, why? Billy the Answerhead was a big part of Figure It Out. That was like its icon, its mascot. Anywho, the remake really wasn't as good. Pickboy did his best, but he was no Summer Sanders. But just like all the other shows, this one had different iterations as well, such as Figure It Out Wild Style and Family Style. It's a great game show, and I always had a lot of fun watching it, and it was cool to see, different talents and different inventions that kids would just come up with. Now for some honorable mentions. Legends of the Hidden Temple. What can I say about this show? It frickin' rocks! No pun intended. Seriously though, this is one of the more unique and most fun to watch game shows Nick had. Imagine an Indiana Jones movie as a game show, and that's basically what Hidden Temple was. There are 6 teams of 2 contestants, which faced off in a 3-round competition. The teams were Red Jaguars, Blue Barracudas, Green Monkeys, Orange Iguanas, Purple Parrots, and Silver Snakes, which was the best team. Each show had the same 3 rounds. The moat, which was where each of the 6 teams would have to cross a moat of water in some way and make it to the other side. The first 4 teams to make it moved on. You would then face off in the Steps of Knowledge, which Olmec would tell the tale of the game, and each team had the opportunity to answer trivia questions about the story. The first 2 teams to get to the bottom step then faced off in the Temple Games to compete to get Pendants of Life. The team with the most Pendants of Life at the end of the Temple Games would then move on to the final round, the Temple Run. This was the most exciting part of the show. One member from the team would have to run through the temple maze to get a certain item. However, if one of the temple guards got them, they would have to give up their pendant of life. However, if they were caught again without a pendant of life, the other team member would have to go in and try to find that item. One of the most iconic rooms was the Shrine of the Silver Monkey, which for some reason, nobody knew how to put together. I remember just watching it at home and just yelling at them, calling them dumb, like how could you not figure that out? But I realized with the pressure of the clock, because it is timed, I could see how it would be a little more challenging. This was honestly one of the best game shows Nick had. It's definitely one of the most creative ones as well. If you haven't seen it, you need to. Also, fun fact, most of these game shows were actually filmed at Nickelodeon Studios at Universal here in Orlando, Florida, which is super rad. Well, that's going to do it for this top 5. Let me know in the comments what your favorite Nickelodeon game show was. Also, what would you like to see a top 5 of? Again, let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and stay rad.